and welcome to And Then We Fought a Dragon.
And then we fought a dragon.
My name's Becky.
I'm Desiree.
And we are back with Campaign 2.
Yay!
What? It's been like literally 2 months since we talked about Campaign 2, and we are feeling back at a place where we're ready to catch up. We've got a few sessions to get through, so today we're going to be combining 2 of the sessions that we've missed, so that'll be exciting. We've got a lot of fun things to catch up on. Yes. And I'll let Des recap us on where we left off 2 months ago, and then I'll get into what's been happening since.
Yeah, it's I feel like I didn't forget about this campaign, but I definitely did not remember. So interpret that however you please, but I'm excited to find out what's been going on. So last time we were together talking about this campaign, you had arrived in
Shinusa, I think, is the continent, but there's 2 that sound very similar. One's a city, one's a continent.
Okay, so
we're on the continent of the dinosaurs. We'll go with that.
You arrived where you were supposed to be, so good. The plague is still a thing within your party, particularly
Mako,
right?
Yeah.
I as soon as the names come up, I will remember them. But in this moment, I'm like having to scramble.
I'll recap names before I get into things this time.
Great. So you need to get rid of the plague.
Yeah, preferably.
You go to the market. You do some info gathering. Mm-hmm. You have no luck at the temple. No one wants to deal with it.
No.
But you find a witch.
Yeah, because that always goes well.
And she's given me the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah.
But you do interact with her. You make a deal. Yeah. As a result, you do need to kill somebody.
He was a bad guy, though. So
it's fine.
It's fine.
I kill bad guys all the time, and it's fine. And so, yeah, that's where we were. There was, little bits here and there, but not too many big things that happened because you had just arrived.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And then we went back to our boat for the night. That's kind of where we left off. So
also make a note that you do, other than killing that, there is another purpose, which I had completely forgotten. Rebecca was kind of telling me, like, we were discussing the recap before we actually, jumped into this. And I was like, what else were you guys doing there? Oh, right. The whole point. So
Salbain and the Price daughter need to be rescued.
So that's where we're at.
That's where we're at. And before I jump into this, I forgot to mention it earlier. When we got on this call, Des and I noticed we were wearing similar color patterns. And Des unzipped her sweater to reveal
we're wearing the same shirt.
Same shirt. Yeah. So that was great. We're on the same wavelength.
Yeah. If anyone doubted, are they actually really close friends who are inseparable?
Accidentally dressing the same.
Yes. Very much so. Which isn't surprising, but also like
we only have 3 matching tops.
Yes.
So
only 3.
But we have a lot of I have a lot of shirts I could have chosen today.
Yes.
So there we go.
I do as well. It was a nice little surprise. It made me it didn't make me giggle. It made me guffaw. I was laughing a lot.
Yep. Life just gives you a giggle sometimes, just for fun. But anyway, back to the D&D. I will recap our party so we know who we're talking about, because it's been a while.
Yes.
So in this campaign, I play Brenna, who is our changeling bard. Typically looks fairly human. And then we have Sumi, who is our monk, and Nathaniel, who is our warlock, Viper, who is our rogue, Glenn, who is our artificer, and Mako, who is our paladin. And that makes our party. So, like Des said, we've arrived at the continent. And when we picked up this next session, it was our second morning there. And it's super hot and humid in this area. And we're not used to it. not particularly enjoying it, but that's just how life is here. And as we're on the docks, kind of weighing like how we're going to go forward with trying to track Salbain and the Price daughter, because we don't have a ton of information at this point. So Viper looks around the docks for maybe some Yaun-Ti that are hanging around, maybe to get a lead on where the slavers that we're tracking went, or where they tend to go when they arrive, or if they haven't arrived yet. Yes.
Snake people.
Yaun-Ti or snake people. Yes, correct. And we do see some hanging around, and we send his raven over. He's got a familiar, Silas, so he sends him over there to kind of eavesdrop on them a little bit, because Viper knows the same language that the Yaun-Ti tend to speak, so he can eavesdrop on them and see if there's anything useful. And he does hear that there is a shipment coming from the northern continent that we came from that will be seemingly arriving this morning or this afternoon. So we kind of debate whether we should wait for this boat, like maybe it's the one that we're looking for and somehow we beat them here. Maybe we can just get more info about where to go, like their habits and whatnot. So we kind of mull about for a little bit, and Nathaniel's like, hey, let's look for a dockmaster. Maybe they'll know if the ship we're looking for has come in. So we find the dockmaster. He's a big half-orc guy, kind of intimidating, a little bothered by having to answer our questions. Typically, dockmasters don't like us, we've discovered so far. They get irritated by having to answer questions. So
is it you, or is it just they don't like anyone?
I mean, that's an excellent question. But I like to think it's because they don't like having their work disturbed. So we're just disturbing them to ask questions, but it could be us. So Nathaniel and I go over to ask him about like a ship that might have come from Havenport with Yaun-Ti on it. And he's like, man, they come in like 2 to 3 times a week. I don't know what to tell you guys. So we're not getting a lot of information from that, unfortunately. And while we're talking to him, Sumi notices someone unloading another nearby ship who's kind of eavesdropping on our conversation with the dockmaster. And it's a human lady with like a cool blue wrap headscarf, lots of earrings, a scimitar at her side. She seems like a pirate, which is very exciting. And so Sumi points her out to Brenna, biggest pirate fan in the world. And we're like, hey, let's go talk to her. Like maybe she knows something. So Sumi and I go talk to her. And Sumi just kind of basically is like, hey, we saw you were listening in on our conversation. And this is where Brenna became like super, super cool and is like leaning on a box and is trying to be super subtle pirate lady kind of thing. And is like, hey, you know any Yaun-Ti slavers? Just like you do. And explains a little bit. What?
I said smooth.
Super smooth. Super, super smooth. But she seemed kind of like more amused by it than like put off by it, so that worked in our favor. And yeah, I kind of explained that like obviously we're not looking for the Yaun-Ti because we're team Yaun-Ti. We don't like them. We're looking for our friends who were taken by the Yaun-Ti and we think they were brought here. And so she gives us some advice. She's like, basically, if your friends are not found easily, give up. Like, don't keep trying. It's not worth you guys dying. And kill any Yaun-Ti that see our faces because they hold grudges. And if they see us and know that we're trying to take their slaves, basically, we will live to regret it. So that's a little intimidating there.
Scary.
She does give us some helpful information also that the slavers may have brought the slaves to the Blacktails market or transported them into the forest. Those are kind of the 2 things that they tend to do when they bring slaves in town.
Both sound bad.
Yeah, both sound bad. But they move slowly through the forest and they stick to the road, but they don't stop. So we have to like catch up to them. They're not going to be like caught unawares at nighttime or something. They just keep going. And so we go back to the others and kind of relay this information. And Viper thinks he's familiar with this market because he's from here, even though he hasn't been around for a long time. So we start, deciding if we're going to go to the market. We decide to wait around a little bit for this boat, just in case. Like, how easy would it be if the boat arrives and boom, Salbain and the Price daughter are there. So convenient.
Ta-da!
Ta-da! So we wait until like afternoon, which it was a big issue with time because obviously time is of the essence. If they're already here, we're wasting time waiting.
Yeah.
So that was a point that we were worried about. And the boat arrives, the Yaun-Ti on the dock start like helping them to unload slaves, and Salbain and Elenora are not there. So that was a little unfortunate, but at least we know that they are ahead of us, not behind us. So we head into the market, and as we do, I kind of change my face to look a little more like the pirate lady, because like I don't want them to see my face and hold the grudge, but also I don't want them to like be mad at the pirate lady. So I'm like enough like her to be her cousin or like a sister or something, just like the vibes, because she's cool.
Oh, that's so funny.
You gotta do it sometimes.
It's like you have a little infatuation going on.
Big crush going on there. Just like, I love you, pirate lady. And so we go to the market. There are some, like an area where slaves are bought and sold. And Mako kind of notes that there's not that many of them there. And like, obviously there's new shipment coming in kind of thing, but Salbain and Elenora aren't here at the market from what we can see. And it does seem weird to like go up to the slaver and ask him about a particular slave. So maybe we'll ask a local. And there's a blacksmith that seems to be a bit of a permanent structure. So we're like, hey, let's go there, because some of the stalls seem to be like pick up and move every day. Mm-hmm. So we decide we're going to go in and try and get some info from the blacksmith. But like, maybe we need a story for why we're there, because we can't just like go in and ask about slaves. That's weird. So we need like some kind of backstory for why we're going to the blacksmith and looking for the slave, and like bring in some business or something. So we have some scimitars that we took from the Yaun-Ti that we killed back in Havenport. Yeah. And we kept those with us. So we're like, maybe. What
are those?
They're like a sword, a fancy curved sword.
I mean, I knew that. It's very obvious.
Yeah. Curved sword. And we're like, maybe he'll value the scimitar for us. So Viper and Brenna are going to go in, like, because like the socially awkward duo everyone always needed, basically. So we head in and decide that our backstory is that we have a bet, and Viper thinks I overpaid for the scimitar that I bought at a pawn shop because I paid 40 gold for it. And we're getting this guy to value it so he can tell us who wins the bet. So we go in, we pitch this story to
commitment.
The guy. Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. We wanted to know what we were going in with. It was very awkward. I think he bought our story, but he was not even pleased with just having a Yaun-Ti scimitar in his blacksmith shop. He was like, I hate them. I hate that scimitar. Get it out, basically. But he did agree that, yeah, I paid about 40 gold more than I should have paid for that scimitar because it has no worth whatsoever. So I lost the bet. Poor fake Brenna backstory had lost the bet, so that was disappointing. But then we kind of got into the question part of the interaction and asked him if he knew like who had been buying the slaves recently in the last 2 or 3 days, kind of thing. And he tells us that Swift Shadow purchased a few slaves recently for Mantra's palace, and Trito purchased a few for the fighting pits. And Trito is a name we recognize because it's who the witch wants us to kill. So that was an interesting little connection there. And then as a thank you,
children.
We the children eater. We also bought a rapier to thank you for the questions that he answered for us, but Viper didn't actually have enough money to buy the rapier that he wanted, so I gave him the money for it because I lost a bet. So he owes me 5 gold now, but
he bamboozled
you. Come back around one day. No, I offered. I don't think he even asked me to spot it for him, but I needed the backstory to hold up. You know, you gotta commit to the bit.
You bamboozled yourself.
I bamboozled myself. But it worked. We got some answers. We know 2 places where they could have been taken. So we rejoined the others. And Viper does also recognize the name Swift Shadow and the place that is Mantra's palace.
That sounds like a 13-year-old boy who drinks Mountain Dew, but continue.
Maybe that's like his alter ego. Mantra's palace is a magic shop, and Swift Shadow is like a super rich tabaxi. So maybe he does just like play video games in the basement drinking Mountain Dew or something. I don't know. He can do what he wants. He's got lots of money. So we decided to try and check the shop first, and then we'll go check the fighting pits, because it seems like a little bit of a coincidence that the guy we're supposed to kill might have the slaves. So we'll try the other place first, and then go
So
there.
subtle. I wonder what direction you're being pushed in.
But you never know. Maybe it's like the opposite of what your assumption is. It's all mind games. So,
the decoy.
Yeah, exactly. We go to the shop to check it out, and the shop is like a literal small palace. It's got patrolling guards and a walled gate. Like, it's quite ornate. And you have to be pretty rich to go in here. Like, you don't just wander in and shop around. You have to be approved to go in and shop around, basically. So we decide our tactic will just be like to walk in like we're supposed to be there, because that always goes well. And we walk forward.
That's never worked for me in my life.
Surprisingly, it didn't work for us either. The guards stop us and ask to see our platinum. And for those who don't know the D&D financial world, platinum's like the most expensive kind of coin you can get. Gold, I think it's like 100 gold is one platinum. Like, it's big stuff. And you have to show you have platinum just to get in here.
Like, that's physically or in your bank account online on your
phone.
I
mean, it is a fantasy world, but as long as you can prove you have it.
I'm just trying to confirm details here.
Well, I tried to minor illusion a bag of platinum because, I can do that. Ta-da! And I rolled really terribly. So it was like a 2D cartoon little bag of platinum, which he wasn't impressed by, shockingly, and was like, what are you guys trying to do? And I was just like, aren't you an appreciator of comedy? And so he laughed. He was an appreciator of comedy, but he did not let us in.
As you're sweating. It's a joke. It's just a funny joke.
Yeah, he didn't let us in. So that was a little disappointing. But we decided to try and find a servant's entrance, because maybe we could double as servants a little better than we could double as rich people.
Why do we think of this first? We're poor.
That's a valid question, to be honest. But we walk around the back, and there's kind of like a walled-in backyard with like a barred gate that we can see through, and we can see who Viper recognizes to be Swift Shadow back there, and he's like sharpening a sword, just chilling in his backyard.
With green dyed hair and a Mountain Dew beside him. I can't.
He wasn't described that way, but feel free to imagine him that way.
Okay, I'll stop implying something that's not true.
Viper pulls out his he has like a fancy sword. I think it's a sword. It's called a yakiwa, which is very fun to say. We always go yakiwa. So he pulls that out and starts to like spar in the air like a really cool person, also like a teenager. They're very good match for each other, and he's trying to catch Shadow's attention because like clearly this is a guy of the blade kind of thing.
It all hit me at once what we're doing, as you said, and he started to spar in the air like a really cool person.
Yeah,
actually, maybe we shouldn't be recording this podcast.
So cool. It's super cool. It's fine. Actually, no, we don't need to be cool. We're better than the cool people. We've got to choose what angle we want to take.
They wish they could be us. They're just jealous.
Yeah, that's the route we're gonna take. So he is sparring in the air with
like a really cool person.
Like a really cool person. And he rolled really poorly for his sparring in the air. So he's sparring with the air very poorly. But it does catch Swift Shadow's attention, so that worked. And the rest of us just kind of lolled about, looking cool as well, because we're a really cool party, in case that hasn't been picked up through the various interactions we've had.
I assumed that from the start.
I know, yeah. So Viper starts talking to Swift Shadow through the gate, and they're having a pretty decent conversation. They're out of earshot of us, though. Or either they're out of earshot or they're not speaking the same language. Regardless, we don't know what they're saying. And I kind of insight check Swift Shadow just from a distance, just body language type stuff. And he does seem to be honest and kind of invested in the conversation. So that seems like a good sign. And as Viper comes back to the rest of us, he tells us that Swift doesn't know where Salbain and Elenora are. So that's unfortunate, but it knocks one thing off our list. So we know they're not here. And also, Viper may have told Swift that we were his slaves. So there's that. We're all just kind of like, what? And he's like, nope, moving on. That's fine. No big deal.
Hold on. Okay, no, never mind. Moving on. Move on.
It was just seemingly an illusion that he decided. So if we ever run into Swift again, we have to all pretend to be Viper's slaves, which will be fun, I guess. But they're not at the palace. So we know where to go next. We're going to the fighting pits, where Trito might be. And we head in that direction of the city. And we can hear, as we approach, like cheering from the fighting pits. There's bleachers that surround them, and lots of people watching. And there's 4 individuals in the pit fighting. A tabaxi, 2 humans, and a half-orc. And the tabaxi leopard is winning quite handily. And there's a balcony to the side with like this ornate big chair, like a throne practically. But it's sitting empty. But we kind of presume that like if Trito runs the fighting pits, maybe this is his chair, potentially. But it's empty, so maybe he's not here today, which pros and cons to that. And at one end of the pit, there's also bets happening and like a board of running leaders and whatnot. And as we're kind of getting our bearings, the tabaxi in the pit wins his fight. So that's very exciting. And as he leaves, he goes over to another tabaxi who Viper seems to recognize and kind of waves and is, hey, Falcon. And that one comes running over to us and is like, oh, hi, friend from the Muddy Marsh clan. And he's got like this panic in his eyes, like he's trying to like really connect with Viper right now. We're like, that's a little weird. Okay. And the leopard follows him over. His name is Fang. And he says, oh, any friend of Falcon is a friend of Fang. Fang is like big ol' himbo. Like he's booming voice, big muscles, super jovialer, little bit dumb. He's pretty great. Yeah, he's kind of like Kronk. So he seems really nice, which is fun. We do introductions with him. And he asks if Viper is also here for the clan meetings. And I think Viper said no. I didn't actually know the answer in my notes, which is useful.
I never thought I'd hear you say the word clan meeting.
Well, apparently the tabaxis are from various clans. And so they're all having a meetup is the vibe we get. Clan
is just a scary word.
It can be, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, moving on.
They're cats. It's fine. And Fang also invites us, like, hey, this evening you should come have drinks with me and Falcon at like this dive bar that's nearby. And we're like, yeah, maybe, okay. And so he leaves to go on his business. And Falcon and Viper talk briefly in Draconic, which none of us know. So like, rude. But Falcon again seems pretty stressed out. For some reason he doesn't seem thrilled that Viper and Fang are interacting with each other, so that's a little interesting. And as that interaction closes, Sumi and I head over to the edge of the fighting pits. It's kind of like a dip down into a literal pit, and we're thinking maybe we can haul her down to one of the slaves who are tending to the injured fighters in the pit and see if they have some info on Elenora or on Salbain.
Yeah.
And we noticed someone in the crowd has kind of clocked us and is watching us a bit. So we don't really want to conduct this super openly, but Sumi has the ability to mind meld with someone. So she connects with one of the slaves in the pit, startles him a little bit, but he steadies, he's okay. And she starts asking him some questions telepathically. And he knew Elenora in Havenport. So that's good. Apparently she used to bring them cakes at the tar house and was taken with some of them. This makes me wonder. Okay, so we were initially told she was a tar addict. Maybe she was just a nice person taking care of the poor addicts of the city. We might have had the whole wrong idea about her this whole time. But regardless, we'll find out when we meet her, I guess.
Oh, that's sad. She's just trying to hang out,
wrong
be a
place,
good
wrong
person.
Time. Yeah.
And you guys made an assumption about her.
Well, no, we were explicitly told that
so somebody else could have made an assumption about her.
So we'll find out which assumption was true. But apparently she got picked up with them at this tar house in Havenport. And a few days after they were picked up, this old guy, presumably Salbain, was also picked up and seemed like really protective of Elenora for the whole journey. Like he was taking care of her, not letting her out of his sight, kind of thing. And they were not brought to the market with the other slaves, meaning they were presumably taken into the forest towards the den, which is the Yaun-Ti stronghold, and is basically the place you don't want to go to ever. So, yay! Looks like we're going into the forest towards the den. that sounds super fun. And we think maybe if we go to the tavern for drinks with Fang and Falcon, we can get some info about the Yaun-Ti, because they're locals. So maybe they know like how to fight the Yaun-Ti, where they are, things. We know literally basically nothing at this point. And it would be good to have some information before tracking them out there. So we head to this dive bar. Fang is happy to see us. Falcon, maybe a little surprised that we actually showed up. And again, not necessarily thrilled, but Fang is happy to see us. He orders us tons of this really terrible ale that the dive bar has and is telling us, you know, his backstory, that he's on the way to the Tall Trees clan, and asks if Viper's been there before. And Viper says not really, but Insight says that that's a lie. And he says he went, but was scared of heights and tall trees in the trees, actually. So Viper's lying about his connection to tall trees, which is interesting, but not something we dove into at the moment. And Viper decides he's going to ask his old friend Falcon to go for a walk and talk and catch up or whatnot, and leave us with Fang in this bar. And Sumi mind links with Viper to be like, hey, so there might be Yaun-Ti in here. And Fang talks really loudly, so I don't know if we want to ask these questions we were thinking of here. Maybe you ask them to Falcon while you guys are outside. So that seems like it's a little taken care of. And when they come back and Viper kind of tells us a bit after we leave the bar, Falcon has told him that along this road through the forest that the Yaun-Ti take, they make one stop before they reach the den. And that is at the Serpent's Eye Temple, which is just past the end of the road. Like it's just straight jungle there that you have to find your way through. You can't even bring a cart or anything through there. But that's where they stop. And basically that's the farthest it's safe to go. If we get there and we can't find them, we shouldn't go any further. It's not going to be safe. We're all going to die, kind of thing. But if it's just been a few days, we may be able to catch up. It's still possible they haven't reached that point. So that's good. And we head out for the evening. Fang is very drunk and gives us like very gentle, strong man hugs because he doesn't want to hurt us as he's saying goodnight. He seems like a real good guy. And we consider an inn for the night, but we leveled up last session. So I got a new spell. And it's called Tiny Hut, which means I can create like a 10-foot by 10-foot circle with, you know, a dome, a little hut, and it's opaque so no one can see in, but we can see out, and it's like a comfortable temperature and it's safe and dry, and I can create this little dome.
It's an igloo. You can make an igloo.
I can make a little like it's not physical, but like a little protective igloo for us. So that was exciting. We decided to save some money, not getting it in. We'll go do that. So we headed to the forest, cast the hut, went to sleep. Next morning, you know, we head out of the comfort of the tiny hut back into the heat and humidity of the day on Shinusa. And now we need to find a way to travel through the jungle. Because on foot is probably not the best. We're not going to catch up to them on foot. We need some kind of speed. So Mako has the ability to summon a mount that is just a super loyal creature that he can ride, and summons like this kind of large lizard type creature. Basically picture like a dinosaur version of a rhinoceros, kind of.
I've never had to even try to imagine what
I know, but now you can try. So it's got like scales in a way.
A rhinoceros?
A rhinoceros. Yeah. Yeah. So he summons this creature, which is pretty cool. But it can't carry like more than 2 or 3 of us, depending on who we choose. And
so it can't be that big.
So yeah, it's like rhino size kind of thing. A few people could ride a rhino, but not like 6 full-grown adult creatures. So that could help, but we're still going to need something to supplement with that, but it'll be cheaper. And he tries out a few names for this creature before landing on Sir Littlefoot. And Sir Littlefoot and Mako can telepathically communicate. So he talks to Sir Littlefoot, and I'm very sad about this because it means in character, I don't know what Sir Littlefoot sounds like. But out of character, I know that Sir Littlefoot sounds like a British butler. And it's my favorite thing ever. He's got the best voice. And he's always ready to help us. It's just so funny.
That's great.
It's great. Yeah. So that's very fun and exciting. But again, we need to get the rest of us there. And Glenn brings up Mako's folding boat that he got as a gift from Cassandra a while back. And maybe we could take this boat and add some wheels to it and make it a cart. And then Sir Littlefoot could pull the cart. So that was pretty sweet. Glenn knows making wheels from scratch is going to take a long time. So that's not a great option. But a cart is only 15 gold. The boat can carry all of us. A cart can't carry all of us. But we could take the wheels from the cart, put them on the boat, and then have a way to carry all of us and just abandon the cart box and create a land boat. So we were thrilled about this. Our DM, shockingly, was not prepared for us to attempt to create a land boat and had to do some research to try to figure out how we were going to do this. He was like, wow, guys, this was the start of a session too. We dove right into it and we're like, land boat. He was just like, wow, okay, we're making a land boat now. Great. So we determined that with maybe half a day's work, we could create the land boat. We were going to need a wagon rather than a cart because wagons have 2 sets of wheels and a cart only has 1. We're going to need 2 sets of wheels for a boat that will carry all of us, but that's still cheaper than buying mounts for each of us to get us there. So that's a great option. So we were really excited about that. We head back into the city towards the stables to buy a wagon, and the people running the stables come over and, ask what we need help with. And we tell them, we're looking for a wagon. And they said, oh, well, one to fit all of you guys is going to be a little more expensive. We're like, no. We just need the wheels. We don't need it to fit us all. They're a little confused by that. But, okay, you just need the wheels. That's fine. Here's a wagon. So we bought our wagon, hitched up Sir Littlefoot, and brought it over to where we had some space to kind of let Glenn do some working on it. And I cast enhanceability on Glenn to help him. Viper was kind of his extra pair of hands, assistant type person. And as they're working on it, kind of the town dads start crowding around, and they're all like kind of watching what's going on here. What are these guys doing? How's that going to work? Kind of thing. So that was a little bit funny. And eventually, after about 3 hours, we have success. We have a boat wagon, a land boat, if you will. And Sir Littlefoot is hitched up. We're really excited. Sumi water bends like the shape of a wine bottle and kind of freezes the outside of it. And then I prestidigitationed it red so it would look like wine. And then Mako smashes it on the bow of the boat to christen our boat. We named her the Curveball.
Committed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, fully committed. So she is christened the Curveball because she was not what any of us expected, but we are thrilled with her. And we take off into the jungle. Viper has sent Silas, his raven, kind of ahead of us to scout a little bit as we move along. And I prestidigitation some pirate outfits for all of us so we can be land pirates and just have a great morning of it. We're having a grand time riding through the jungle for about an hour. And then we notice these kind of littleish green lizards running like across the road, seemingly in fear, as if they're being followed. And then 4 undead gorillas swing over onto the road and decide that we look more appetizing than little lizards and start attacking us.
Things happen so fast.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're driving down the road and a deer comes running out in front of your car. That happens fast. We just had undead gorillas jump out in front of our land boat.
Okay, continue.
So we had to fight the undead gorillas because they were trying to eat us. And we did manage to kill 2 of them, send 2 of the others fleeing off into the woods, and we booked it out of there real fast. So that was good. And continued on our enjoyable journey through this seemingly pretty deadly jungle. And we noticed that the path is pretty well traversed, which seems like a good sign. And we're keeping an eye out for the Serpent's Eye Temple. Again, the only place that they do stop. And Viper remembers hearing that the temple is just past Catacot, and that is where the road stops. And beyond that, it's just jungle. So we're going to the end of the road, basically. And Viper, through Silas, suddenly notices there's these little tiny people ahead on the road, like a 1.5 foot tall, like little tiny people, or creatures of some kind that seem to like be foraging on the side of the road. And so we slow down a little bit to kind of approach cautiously. They seem a little impish, and we're all a little shy of fey-like creatures that can be a little hit or miss sometimes. And they've got this kind of wild tendrils of hair and these kind of porcelain dome like faces, like a plate face kind of thing. And as they see us, they scurry off the road, and one touches a rock and seemingly disappears behind it. And we're like, this is a little weird. So we cautiously pass by. We're like, I don't think we want to interact with the scary little impish people. And so as we pass by safely, I'm kind of watching behind to see if they try and follow us or not. And I noticed one come back out from the rock and seemingly just go back to foraging kind of thing. They don't seem to be very nefarious, but we have been told everything in this jungle will try to kill us. So we are going to leave them be, even though they're kind of fun and cute, I guess.
Yeah.
A few hours later, it's getting dark, and we decide we should probably bunk down for the night. It seems like this is a bad place to travel after dark. So we pull the wagon off to the side a little bit.
Maybe. Like solid proof that it is.
Yes. Yeah. We don't want to be here after dark. So we pull off the road a little bit, and I'm going to cast Tiny Hut for us, because with Tiny Hut, we all kind of huddle together, and anything that's in the dome when it's cast can then come and go as it pleases. But anything outside is not able to enter. So we're safe. We're protected there. So I'm going to cast the hut, and as I'm getting ready to cast it, it takes about a minute. We see kind of this bluish mist coming towards us, starting to cover the path ahead as night is following. And Mako thanks Sir Littlefoot for his help today and dispenses him for the night, because Sir Littlefoot isn't like a real creature. He's like a fiend creature. So he's there, but he's not really there, which is a little weird. But he cannot come in the hut with us because he's too big. So we'd have to leave him outside, and then he could potentially be killed very nastily. So we'd rather just send him away, and then a new spell will bring him back in the morning. And that'll be fine. So he goes away, and I'm casting Tiny Hut. And in that time, the mist kind of envelops us. And as your face predicts, not a good thing. So we all had to roll Constitution saving throws. And Viper and Nathaniel failed their saving throws. And as the mist covers them, they're like coughing and sneezing and kind of twitching. And Viper starts trying to like scoop the mist up and like put it in his bag and hug it to himself like a cat on catnip. He's like following it off into the trees. And so Mako kind of grabs him and is like, hey, we're gonna stay here while Brenna casts the hut, okay? Because if he's outside the hut, he won't be able to come back in. Yeah. So we need to make sure he stays close. And Sumi water bends some mist that she's able to color blue and kind of brings it in front of Viper and lures him back towards us kind of thing. And he's like quite happy for this mist that doesn't seem to be going away anywhere. So that's good. And the hut finishes casting. So we're all inside. We're all safe. The mist within our hut dispenses kind of thing. And we settle down to sleep. And as we're all kind of settling down, Nathaniel is having a bit of difficulty. He like lies down and gets up, and he's kind of circling his spot and kicking the ground a bit, lying down, getting up, circling his spot, kicking the ground a bit, and lying down. And he just keeps doing this over and over and over again. He's like, I just can't get comfortable. And so we're trying to give him suggestions like use your backpack as a pillow, or make sure you don't have a root under you, or something like that. But he just can't get comfy. And we're a little fixated again on Viper with his little cloud of mist. Something is obviously wrong.
He's Viper. Like Bubbles from Finding Nemo.
Yeah, my Bubbles. So Mako casts Lay on Hands on Viper, which kind of wakes him up out of this weird curse or whatever he was under. And he's back to himself. He's like, whoa, what's going on? And Sumi turns the mist into water and like splashes him. He's like, whoa, because he's a cat, right? So he goes off to kind of lick his paws and make himself feel better. And Sumi is now suspicious that Nathaniel, who this whole time has been up and down and circling and kicking the ground, maybe also has something wrong with him, just of a different nature. So she does a medicine check on him and convinces Mako to do a lay on hands on Nathaniel too. And something was on him, like a curse type thing. So that breaks that. He's finally able to get comfy and go to sleep, and we're all able to get a long rest, which is good. The next morning we wake up and I'm like, I got chills and like maybe a fever. I'm not feeling great. So that's not lovely. I kind of medicine check myself, and I'm very clearly exhausted. And pretty sure I have some kind of disease. So that's not fun. Yay, jungle. But we get ready
Jungle
for our
fever.
morning. Yeah, basically. Get ready for our morning. Mako brings Sir Littlefoot back and we hitch him up to the curveball. And we're just like covered in bug bites. We're itchy. The second morning is not as fun as yesterday was,
How come
traveling
things
through the
couldn't
jungle.
get into your safe igloo? Bugs
Well,
just...
we were in, the land boat all day yesterday, also being bitten by bugs.
Okay.
So they're just now that they're bothering us, essentially. And we travel for a bit and encounter a fallen log across the path. So Mako gets out to go investigate the log. It looks like it fell in the night. There's signs of rot and stuff on it. And as he's looking around for like how easy it'll be to move it, the vines on it start moving towards him. And there's a vine monster. So we have to fight it. And all of my rolls were like terrible and my spell shots were lame. And I'm like, guys, I'm not feeling well. Can we just get this over with? It was very appropriate. I love when the dice actually cooperate with how your character is supposed to be. The dice were definitely cooperating with the fact that Brenna was not feeling well that morning. But we did manage to kill the vine monster, even though it put up a fight. And we moved the fallen log across the path. And as we carry on, I tell everyone, yeah, I'm feeling pretty sick. I'm not feeling great. Something's wrong with me. So Sumi investigates. She's got pretty good medicine level for checking. And she kind of concludes it's from a bug bite, one of these bugs that are constantly biting us, and coaxes Mako into doing his lay on hands healing spell. And I'm cured of the shivering sickness and back to enjoying the heat and humidity that is around us. And at this point, Viper remembers, oh yeah, bug repellent is a thing they sell in the cities. Tabaxi don't need it. We have fur. Never thought about it for you guys. So yeah, we probably should have bug repellent, but here we are in the middle of the jungle.
Just
no
exposed
bug repellent.
to the elements.
Exposed. So that was thrilling to discover. We carry on carrying on. And at this point, a few of us notice some creatures, maybe about the size of humanoids, running along the path ahead, like in the same direction that we're going. And Glenn notices that they have tails. And as we get closer, it's a pack of raptors, a full-on pack of raptors.
But that is your first dinosaur encounter.
First proper dinosaur encounter. Yep. We saw a few walking in the city that were like pets, but this is like dinosaur. So yeah, raptors surround us and Sir Littlefoot. And as we try to fight them off, there's like 9 to a dozen of them, like quite a lot. As we're trying to fight them, they make quick work of Sir Littlefoot and he blinks out of existence. And he's gone and we have no steed, which is terrible. And so we're fighting them and doing okay. And then suddenly they all turn and run into the jungle, which seems like a bad sign. And so Mako looks to see why they ran and gets the feeling something big is coming. And so he jumps off the land boat and goes into the bushes to try to hide. Glenn's trying to pull the cart off the road, but it's a big land boat. So he just goes off into the bushes to hide. Yeah.
It's like a scene from Ice Age Dawn of the Dinosaurs. Literally.
It was great. We were like, no. So Glenn gives up on trying to hide the land boat. It's too heavy for us. He hides. And as he's hiding, like a massive T-Rex erupts from the trees, running towards us. And at this point, I turn myself and Sumi invisible so that we can hide better. And we book it off into the bushes to hide as well. Everybody else is now kind of hiding as well. And initially, it seems like that's our plan. We'll just hide and hope it continues chasing the raptors and goes away and it will be okay. But someone's always got to be the hero, right? So Mako's like, I can draw it off. So he starts running away and like doing hits at it, and it starts attacking him. So then some of the others start attacking the T-Rex so that it doesn't like freaking kill Mako, because that would suck. And I'm still invisible at this point, which means I haven't attacked or cast a spell, because that breaks the invisibility. Because my mindset is that if we all go unconscious, we're all just dead. We need a healer to stay alive. I have some healing spells. I need to stay alive. I need to stay hidden. But Mako's getting pretty beat up by this dinosaur. So I did a healing spell at him, which breaks my invisibility. I'm still trying to hide as best I can, though.
Yeah.
And he realizes at this point he's in trouble. This might have been a bad idea. And is kind of calling for help as he runs. And the T-Rex swoops down and like bites him and picks him up in his mouth. And so now it's carrying Mako. And we're like, this is not good. So we're fighting a T-Rex now. We're full on fighting a T-Rex. And we managed to hit it enough that it drops Mako out of its mouth, but it's really strong. And as it's fighting back, it knocks Mako out, which is not good. And so I do a healing spell on him, wake him back up, and we continue fighting it, because what are you going to do at this point? You can't outrun a T-Rex. It knocks Nathaniel out. It knocks Mako out. This is not going well. But at this point, it decides, hey, I was in this for an easy meal. This is not what I asked for. So it starts deciding it's going to leave. Thank you for the mercy, DM. That was very kind. So it leaves us, and we're able to stabilize our unconscious friends and take a short rest to kind of get our bearings. At this point, Sir Littlefoot is gone. It's going to take a spell slot to bring him back. Our land boat, the good ship Curveball, was damaged in the fight by, the T-Rex kind of kicking it or swiping it with its tail accidentally. So it's not in great shape. It's not even noon yet. This is going to be like a 6 to 8 day journey. So this is going to be a lot harder than we thought. And that's where we ended session.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was a lot. We were all kind of like, okay.
I'm so tired just from listening.
That was 2 sessions. So that is a lot of information to just chuck at y'all at once.
But like just what you all had to go through.
I was not expecting it to be quite that. Like, I knew everything was going to try and kill us, but that was a lot of things trying to kill us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really was everything.
Yeah. And it's only day 2. So.
Oh my goodness. That I would have been like, you know what? I'm going to have a nap until you figure this out.
I feel like at some points I find myself questioning, how much do we really want to rescue Salbain and Elenora Price? I don't know if we're even going to make it in time.
Yeah. The pros and cons are a little bit glaring.
Yeah, but we really want to save them, apparently. So into the woods we go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Goodness. It was like kind of fun and funny at the beginning, but it really took a turn for the intense.
Yeah, as soon as we entered the jungle, it was just left, right, and center. Very literally left, right, and center. But
and up and down, and
especially because that was the same session as we had like the high of the creation of the land boat, and how completely out of left field that was, but like the perfect thing for that moment. And then suddenly we were like, whoa, we are woefully unprepared for this.
You had so much confidence going in.
Yeah, we were super overconfident. Like, you might have noticed that we did not buy food for this journey. We didn't buy supplies at any point. We made ourselves a boat and we went into the jungle.
So you set yourselves up very well for failure.
Yeah, kind of.
You were literally like, okay, let's go die in a nice boat.
Basically. So that was a little bit of an awakening, I suppose.
I feel like in the not last campaign, but in the first campaign, I had like this like, you guys are doing really bad stretch where I was like, why can't you get anything right? And this feels like the direction that's going in.
I feel like we were asking so many questions, but not necessarily in a way that was preparing us, really. We were trying to prepare, but we weren't going about it very well.
No.
And we are now realizing that at the point of no return. So
literally.
It's fun.
I don't know. Maybe a void will come and suck you away.
Yeah, that happened in campaign 1. It's always convenient, when you just get brought to a different plane spontaneously. So.
It That's probably what your DM was like. Oh my gosh, they just can't get it together. Let's suck them up for a little while.
No, I think that part in Campaign 1 was planned, but it was a bit of a shock to us.
Yes. Well, it was all very interesting.
Yeah.
There was, I'm going to be honest, moments where I was like, I actually don't think I know what's going on. But
well, that's the thing with also having had such a gap since the last time we talked about this one, right? You do start to forget little bits that might be referenced in the next session.
Yeah.
If it's been such a gap. So.
No, it was interesting.
Yeah.
I liked, well, I mean, yeah, we can just jump into them.
Sure.
But there was a lot of info gathering, and it's kind of hard to take notes for that because it's just like, well, we figured this out. But you figured out that there's a shipment coming in. You went to talk to the pirate lady. Very smooth and
super smooth.
And so subtle.
Off crates, you know.
Yes. Then you discovered about the slave market, that there was a slave market.
Yeah, she told us in the market there's a place.
And so you do some more info gathering. You go, that is not a word.
We go to the market?
No.
The blacksmith?
No.
Cool.
It's a word that's in front of shopping. So I don't know what that is.
In front of shopping.
It's not even like that I can't figure out what I spelled. I think it looks like little doodles and then I wrote shopping. So maybe it wasn't a word.
There you go, maybe.
Then you just go, oh, it was a word. I was trying to spell elitist. That has a lot of S's and T's. And, well, maybe it doesn't have a lot. It has a lot the way I wrote it. And it just looks really spirally, so I couldn't really tell.
That would be Mantra's Palace, I guess. The elitist shop. Okay. I
think I kind of, like, wasn't paying attention, and I just was like, loop-de-loop-de-loop-de-loop.
It's curtain. It's fine.
I also don't dot my I's, which is relevant to how this looks. You cannot tell.
Sure. Yeah.
So anyways, you tried to accomplish elitist shopping.
Yeah.
Then you decided to go the poor people disguise route, which wasn't much of a disguise because you are poor people.
Yeah, that's true.
Then, okay, this is where I was having a little bit of a hard time.
Yeah.
Concentrating. Just for myself. But you went to the pits, and then there was like some conversations and people. Yes. And I just was having a hard time keeping track of all of them.
It's because they both have names that start with F.
Okay.
It's hard to... It took me a little bit to figure out who was who, because it's Falcon and Fang.
Yeah. But I got, like, I understood the outcome of everything. But, oh, look, here. Before I even found out everything else that happens, I literally wrote, "You're being set up for failure." I knew.
Wow.
I knew.
I wish we'd known.
And after that, I had questioning. I was going to ask, what goes on at the den?
The den is like the Yaun-Ti capital city, essentially. Okay. So it's
a dwelling place.
Culture, I guess, which is not great. Lots of, ritual sacrifice and stuff like you do. Yeah.
I really think it's so funny that before I was like, okay, I have to make a note of this question. I was like, this is bad. I wrote, I can't figure out who to trust and you're being set up for failure.
That's probably because Falcon was a little unsure of Viper and Fang interacting with each other.
Yeah. I was hesitant to believe in you guys, I think, and still am, because you proved that it's not really something that is working out. But anyways.
It's not easily done.
You got a British rhinoceros.
Yeah, a rhinoceros.
You created your land boat. When you started describing the fact that there's like the boat situation, my thought for how to deal with that, use the boat in the jungle, I was like, somebody has to have like a stream spell. You're going to create a stream in the middle of the jungle.
Honestly, I don't know if Sumi can do that or not, but she can waterbend. I don't know if she can like spontaneously create enough water to make that happen.
That was I was like,
that would have been hilarious.
This is going to work, because I thought if you're on like a water source, that means you go real fast. And you just, it's like a water slide. We could have had
the boat on the water. Like, you know how canals, they have like the longboats that were pulled by a horse? Yeah. We could have had Sir Littlefoot pull it, but he could have gone fast because it wouldn't have felt as heavy in the water.
And it would have been so quick, and you wouldn't have encountered my thought process was like, if you're on water, that means hopefully you're going like fast enough that you won't have to encounter too many obstacles. But you didn't do that. You guys are now in the middle of the jungle with nothing. So
I'm hoping that was not an option that we had available to us.
I guess you'll never know.
I'll have to ask Sumi if that's something. I'm sure as she's listening to this, she'll text me. Now that I've said it out loud, she's gonna. So she'll text me and tell me if that was possible or not.
I really hope it wasn't possible, just so you
that would have been
like that
cool
comfort of like, oh, it wouldn't have worked, but it could have been cool.
We did invent the land boat though, which, you know, is
also very cool.
Yeah.
I definitely made note of like, you know, the commitment to land boat.
Yeah, it was so thrilling to be part of the process.
Yeah.
Not really part, I wasn't part. To observe the process of that invention happening.
And I mean, up until the moment it didn't work, it did work.
Yeah. It was very efficient. And we were going, you know, much quicker than if we'd been walking. So, yeah.
So bravo. Then there was some undead gorillas. I don't know what happened, but like, I think I blacked out a little bit because, like, I'm not kidding, because I just wrote land boat, and then the next note was undead gorillas. So whatever happened between there.
I mean, not much did. We just had a nice morning of pretending to be land pirates, and then suddenly there were undead gorillas.
I did hear that part, because I was like, what? And I said, everything happened so fast.
It's the curveball.
Yes.
The good ship curveball.
And then there were some jungle people.
Yep.
That you didn't expect, but also were like, well, this is the jungle and there's stuff here. Yeah. It's actually funny that I had a real life jungle people encounter in the jungle.
Oh, yes. I remember you telling me.
And I didn't expect that. And so it was like, oh my gosh.
Expect the jungle people.
I didn't. Very quickly, I was in the jungle in Malaysia. Little bit naively thought that like, this was just a walking path. It wasn't. There was literally people living their lives
in the village,
in their homes in the jungle. Did not encounter them, but they did walk across our path 2 feet in front of us. They were just being jungle people,
living their lives.
And then as we walked further, we saw their living arrangements, and it was surreal. And that whole entire trip was literally a fever dream that we don't need to get into, but it was a nice little memory.
Jog.
Yeah, it was I felt like I had lived it because I had. So I'm glad you got through that encounter, you know, without any complications.
You know what's even better? We learned before the next session after this, those were good guys. We could have interacted with them and it would have been totally fine.
Oh.
So that was a little disappointing.
A little.
But, you know, better safe than sorry when you're told repeatedly that everything in the jungle will kill you. So.
Yeah. I guess in that moment, it's good that you can heed advice. I feel like you're a group of people who would be like, well, maybe not everybody's bad. And then you would stumble upon the very bad people to interact with.
Exactly.
Which you kind of already have proven that that's happened. But you had a rough night.
Yeah. It was a rough start to the night. The night itself became okay, I guess.
Yeah. But yeah, a rough start to the night and then a rough day.
Yeah.
It kind of just got worse.
Yeah. A rough morning even. That wasn't even a whole day.
Yeah. You just woke up and barely started your day and everything was bad.
Yeah.
You encountered a vine monster.
Mm-hmm.
Then you were very sick and tired, but like also like sick and tired.
Chills.
That got sorted.
Yeah.
Then you had your dinosaur encounter. The first official bad dinosaur encounter.
With 2 dinosaurs in it.
Yeah.
Like 2 different kinds of dinosaurs.
Species. So you battled some raptors. The raptors were like, actually, never mind. Gotta go. And then I said this already, but it literally was like a scene from Ice Age: Dawn of the Dinosaurs.
I don't think I've seen that one, so I need to watch that.
It's funny. It's just a disaster.
Yeah.
And so you had T-Rex. It was T-Rex time, and it left on a "this is going really badly. What do we do next? Oh no.
Yeah.
Yikes" note.
Yeah, basically.
So yeah, that's it.
Super fun. I do know what happens next though, so I have spoilers, but
I am looking forward to. I mean, I'm assuming obviously you get through it.
Or maybe we just turn around and go back to find Trito. Maybe we gave up on Salbain and Elenora.
You could have done that. So maybe you don't get through it, but I guess we'll find out next time. It was nice to catch up with this group of jolly folk again. I missed this story. This one, both of them I really enjoy. I really enjoy them, but I get cracked up by the happenings.
This one seems like, not that the other one isn't funny, but this one seems a lot more comedic in certain senses. Like it has very comedic moments and very dark moments. It's got both.
Oh yeah, that's I think the thing for sure. The other campaign, I did not get like the heebie-jeebie shivers in that one. This one I'm like all the time, just not cringing, but like, I don't like this.
What's gonna happen next?
Yeah. So keeps me on my toes.
I enjoy it. It's kind of fun.
I think it's really fun.
Yeah. And we get to play tomorrow as of filming this, which will be exciting. Get into it.
I'm glad we got to catch up now, so we're not even further behind.
Yeah. We'll probably combine, I think, 2 sessions again next time we chat to get us back on track. But
hopefully we can stay on track. Our lives are a little bit falling apart, but we're doing our best.
We are. We're doing our best. So it'll be okay. They found my dice. I think I mentioned this in the last campaign 1 episode we filmed, which will probably go up after this episode, but I'm currently missing one of my dice. I left it at the DM for this game's house. So it is not lost forever.
Phew. That's good.
Yeah. So there's some good news for our crazy week.
That fixes everything.
Yeah, exactly. If only. Now we got to roll a nat 20. Oh, that's putting too much pressure on it.
Too much.
Too much. Do you want to roll some dice, though?
Yeah, let's roll some dice.
All right. Let's see if we can figure out which one now.
I think I have no idea what one we haven't done, but maybe the purple?
This one?
Yes.
Purple and sparkly. I like this one. It's to me it looks the most like a galaxy. It's just like purple and navy, and it's pretty. Okay. Don't do us dirty, please.
One?
That's a 1.
Oh no. That's the dirtiest it could do.
It really is. Maybe it's like a 1 that is reflecting on our past week, not on the future week. It's just like it's the closing bracket.
I can't.
What just happened?
I can't.
I'll roll it again. Oh, that was a weird crookedness. Yeah, it's still not doing very well.
No, don't stop.
We're sticking with the 1, unfortunately.
Oh my goodness. Well,
it's fitting considering where this episode left off story-wise. honestly.
That's true.
It does feel like we've hit a party nat 1 in our interaction there.
Okay, yeah. Let's go with that. We're sticking with that. That's good. And, hope for better.
Yep. It'll improve. And
at
the end of the day, it is just a dice. It's a piece of plastic with numbers on it.
It is. It has no relevance to impact anything that is real life.
Yeah. Just fun. Just story.
Fun games. Podcast is canceled. One of us is dead.
Oh, no. Don't joke about that.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to cut us off right now. Thank you for listening, everybody. We've been excited to chat about this campaign again with you. And we'll see you next time we see you, I guess.
Hopefully.
Okay, bye.
Goodbye.
Now this is a story all about how my D&D parties came about. And I'd like to take a minute, just sit right there, and I'll tell you this week's adventure of a Bard and Ranger.